The way that she framed her argument was purposeful and insidious.
What's going on, you guys, and welcome back again on another episode today. How are you all doing? I hope you guys are doing great, and if you're joining for the very first time as well, thank you so much for being here today. There is this Indian woman that has been getting a lot of drag, which I am going to play for you guys in a minute. This lady made a video about an encounter she had with a white woman and how hypocritical that white woman is, but she decided to bring black people into it, which in turn made a comment section filled with people who were literally being racist and dragging black people, especially black Americans. She brought black people into it and they were dragging black people in the comment section. She said in her video that she has said it before, that white people only care about cultural appropriation when it has to do with black people. She went on to say a lot of things and even narrated an event that happened that made her conclude that white people only care about cultural appropriation when it has to do with black people. Before I start rolling in some people who stick to her video and how her take was not good at all, I am going to roll the clip of the video that she posted that started this entire conversation. So without wasting much time, let me just roll the clip and let's see what this Indian lady has to say about cultural appropriation.
I've said before that a lot of white people only care about racism and cultural appropriation when it concerns black people and literally no other race. And I have a story for y'all. I had this friend who's Nigerian who does like hair braiding for her living, like that's her job, and she was based in KL in Malaysia. And I was living in Singapore, but I was going up to KL for something and I said, hey, I'm really interested in getting braids. Would you do my hair? And she said, yes, I will give you braids. And she sent me like a bunch of inspiration pictures and like price quotations and stuff. And so I was looking at these pictures one day when I was out with one of my friends who's American. And this girl was like, oh, what are you doing? And I said, I'm looking at like pictures for braids because like I have a friend who braids hair. And she goes, wow, I can't believe that as a minority, you would be this ignorant. I can't believe that you being a minority and someone who faces prejudice would like culturally appropriate a whole other culture, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what? So on the spot, I text my friend who does braids and I'm like, hey, have I offended you? Like, are you just being nice by saying you do my hair? Like, it's if this is cultural appropriation, please let me know because I didn't think it was. And my friend was like, no, I've braided so many Indian women's hair and like you guys have really thick hair and it's like perfect to hold braids. And you can't see right now because I just washed my hair and it's also really short, but I have tight curls. If you see my other videos, like you can see my curls. So she's like, your hair is perfect for it. Where is this coming from? So I told my American friend and I was like, look, my Nigerian friend doesn't think it's cultural appropriation and she's black and she's been doing this for years as a living. And this girl goes off, she's like, well, your friend is monetizing off of like, the years of like racism, blah, blah, blah. And like she's going off, right? She's going on a whole spiel about how like this is cultural appropriation and I'm a bad person for perpetuating it. Shortly after, this American girl and I stopped being friends because we had a lot of difference in views on a lot of different things. And I never got my hair braided because my friend actually got a job offer and moved quite suddenly to a different country. So like it never happened. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because I was scrolling through TikTok and it said people you may know, and it was this goddamn white girl. And you know what she's doing on TikTok? She was using that niqab filter and like, showing her eyes to like that Arabian Night song, which apparently is a trend now. And I'm like, bestie, how are you gonna go off on me for like half an hour for wanting to get braids in my hair? And you're literally using a niqab filter on TikTok. The niqab is a very special cultural aspect to like Arab women and like Muslim women. And I cannot imagine why this is a TikTok trend and why she would get on it. So clearly, like, she doesn't care if it's culturally appropriating other cultures. I can't imagine why this is a trend. Like, this is not normal and this should not be a trend on TikTok. I actually sent like one of the videos I saw a few days ago to my best friend who's a Muslim, and I was like, dude, this is fucked up, right? Like, I'm not the only one who feels this way. And she's like, no, it is really messed up. And I'm like, okay, good. And you see this a lot. Like, white women will scream from the top of their lungs saying you cannot get braids because it's cultural appropriation while also having an Om tattoo. Like, I'm sorry. I did not know that your ancestors from Tallahassee speak freaking Sanskrit. And don't even get me started on dreadlocks. You think your blonde hair can hold dreads naturally? Like, you think that is something that naturally occurs in the wild? You should not be saying finna. You should not be using AAVE. Okay, fair. But why are you doing yoga? Why are you doing like downward dog, when that is not like it is. Do you realize that like yoga comes from India? You do know that, right? It's like if one thing is cultural appropriation and no one can enjoy that aside from like people of that culture, then every other thing also has to be cultural appropriation. At which point, like, where do you draw the line? It is so bizarre to me that like so many white people will like go to the world's end to defend a Black person, which is great, and you should be doing that. But then like you literally ignore every other race and culture on the planet, and like literally nothing else is cultural appropriation to you. I have never blocked someone so hard, because if that girl from my story, the American girl, like if I swear I wanted to scream at her. I was like, there's no way. Like, you literally traumatized me, and I thought that I was a bad person. All for you to come on here and use a niqab filter. What is wrong with you? Also, her eyes are brown and she had contacts on, so she was literally faking in the trend as well. Like, literally, I don't understand. Oh my god, I'm so frustrated. I'm so pissed off.
What do you guys think about our video? I would like to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Before you start seeing any of these stitches and their take and why they decided to drag her at all, what is your first reaction to what this lady narrated, the story she narrated? Remember that it's not a competition of who experienced racism the most, and I think this is one of the reasons why these people are dragging her as well. And if you notice in that video as well, she did not necessarily agree to the fact that getting a braids done is cultural appropriation, because like she said in that video, our Nigerian friend doesn't have any issue with it. Yes, let's not take away from the fact that the white woman did the right thing, but going back to use the filter that she talked about might be a little bit hypocritical as well. She was right on that side that she's being hypocritical. If you're telling me that this is cultural appropriation, then you go ahead and do the same thing to another culture. Just because it's not Black doesn't mean it's not bad. So I would like to hear what you think about what she said in the comment section before we go into the stitches. So without wasting more time, let's check out what the people have to say about our video, because our video invited so many people in the comment section who were there literally shitting on Black Americans. So let me roll the clip and let's see what the people have to say about our video.
I said before that a lot of white people only care about racism and cultural appropriation when it concerns Black people.
So I've been on this app for a while, right? 3 years, okay? And something that I see time and time again happen when someone tries to come on here and try to share their grievances towards a group that has less privilege than them, they fail to realize that when they do that, it signals to everybody else on that person's same societal level and upwards that it is okay to attack the person who is at the very bottom. So you coming on here criticizing Black people as a whole when you don't even belong to the Black community, you have more privilege than Black people, you're giving people the green light to openly express their racism and specifically their anti-Blackness. You could have just said, oh, I wish people took cultural appropriation more seriously when it came to my culture. You could have had a whole conversation about that, but you chose to take it in a very anti-Black direction. So I see that you're confused in the comment section as to why people are attacking you. So maybe this will help you feel a little less lost.
Appropriation when it concerns Black people and literally no other race.
They turned off their stitches, duets, and the ability to save the video. So if you want to go watch the video in entirety, I'll link it below. The way that she framed her argument was purposeful and insidious, because this conversation has to deal with white people and their ability to cultural appropriate to the point that the culture that they are appropriating becomes so watered down that you can't recognize where it came from before, such as what they did with yoga, like you were talking about. But instead of talking about that issue and directing that animosity, that clear animosity that I so feel at white people, you bring Black folks into this conversation. And if we are being honest, because I see through the bullshit that you're doing, you're talking about Black Americans. You are inviting anti-Blackness into the comments, and specifically anti-Blackness against Black Americans, because you know that that is the most socially acceptable form of anti-Blackness. Because what do Black people have to do with this conversation? Black Americans are the loudest about protecting and gatekeeping their culture. If you have an issue, you should say it. that white girl was aware that you doing box braids was an issue because black folks here told her. Yeah. And in the same way that you all expect Americans to be aware of the intricacies of your societies, you all should be that aware of the intricacies of ours as well and the histories. Because if you were educated, you would understand the rich and deep history that Black Americans have with their hair. You would understand that to this day, Black Americans are actively discriminated against based off of their hair, that they are treated differently based off of what type of hairstyle that they are wearing. You would then understand that if you are under attack based off of something that is part of your cultural identity, and then these people come in, take that aspect, and are somehow praised and somehow rewarded, and meanwhile you're getting fired from jobs, kicked out of schools, yeah, you would be upset. There is obviously some underlying animosity towards Black Americans in your hearts, and I want you to go and seek help because this video was unnecessary. You could have talked about that white girl by herself. You did not have to bring up Black folks into this conversation.
That a lot of white people only care about racism and cultural appropriation when it concerns Black.
This video is wrong for like so many reasons. If you want to talk about how normalized cultural appropriation is towards our community, just fucking talk about it. There is no reason to drag the Black community into this. It feels insidious, especially when we know there's such a deep anti-Black sentiment within the Desi community. Also, like, from one fucking Desi person to the next, right? You can't wear fucking box braids. You'll live. The whole argument presented in that TikTok was counterproductive and also elusive to the point. Honestly, it gives the same energy as brown boys wanting to say the N-word. Your problem, at the core, is with white people. Don't drag Black people into it.
A lot of white people only care about racism and cultural appropriation when it concerns Black.
Her entire argument is flawed as fuck. Cause it's not a battle between which race can deal with more racism or which race can, deal with more cultural appropriation. No. Cause at the end of the day, Black people in this country goes through a lot more discrimination than any other race group. This is why a lot of Black people lately been saying, don't say Black people are people of color, just say that we're Black, because of the simple fact that a lot of POCs people will literally throw us under the bus or literally talk down on us just to cater to the white people or to the white audience. It's insane. Before you come on online trying to bash Black people, go and look at the history.
What are your thoughts about what they all said? Did you feel the same way as these people in these teachings felt? I love the fact that even our own person, told her the truth, and I agree to the fact that she could have easily made that video about a white woman or white lady encounter and talk more about how cultural appropriation in their own community isn't really taken serious, instead of bringing Black people into it and opening door for people who want to be racist and anti-Black in the comment section, because they were dragging Black people. She has turned off her comment section. I would have showed you guys some comment. There was another person who pointed out the fact that she made a video talking about, if you think how wearing a box braid is cultural appropriation, then best believe if you are taking tequila or taking tacos, then you are cultural appropriating Mexicans. And this just confirmed to us that this lady isn't aware of the long years of history behind Black people's hair and how long they have had to fight for their hair to be accepted in society. So it is just what is confirming to us that, okay, you don't really know how powerful it is and how long that these people have fought for. There are some people as well saying she is trying to mask what exactly it is she wants to say, that she's trying to use the white lady as a shield. Like, what she's literally trying to say is, why should she feel a certain way for wearing box braid? like her wearing box braid doesn't mean she's culturally appropriating the Black people's culture. So there were comments of people saying, why are you using white people as a disguise? Just effing say the thing that you want to say without dragging Black people into all of this mess. I would like to hear what you guys think about that in the comment section. Thank you all so much for joining, and if you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Please smash the subscribe button before you go and turn your bell notification on as well, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, and I love you guys.